In my previous vlog, I shared a meditation I learned to give pain, grief, depression, anxiety, addiction, or what I like to call my yuck, to the Savior. However, sometimes when we are in too much grief, or too much darkness, or feeling too much pain, it's hard to think of anything else. It may not be easy to remember to give that pain to the Savior, who has literally overcome all these and will guide us perfectly through this yuck. When we hold a pebble close to our eye, it looks like a gigantic obstacle. But when we throw it on the ground, it's seen in true perspective. I'm so grateful that I've eventually, at some point, been able to say, you know what? I can't do this by myself, and I give it to you, my Savior. Whenever I've been able to do that, I've seen the Lord's hand in my life because I let Him take over. Welcome, my friend, to Defining Moments Vlogs. This is Jennifer Packham. Have you ever had a defining moment that shattered you? Maybe it left you to piece together your life in a way you never thought would be. In these vlogs, I share my experiences from my journals about the life-altering, defining moments I've had and the wisdom I've gained from them. I hope they bring you renewed possibilities, clarity, faith, and hope in your toughest moments. This is vlog episode 36. It was May of 2006. My kids were riding bikes at a nearby church when my younger son saw a small snake and picked it up. My older son took it from him because he thought it could be a rattlesnake. It was moving in and out of his fingers all the way home when it finally bit him on his index finger. The kids put the snake in a jar and called us to come home. When we got there, we took one look at the baby rattlesnake and rushed to the emergency room, running several red lights along the way. They immediately took some blood, made him raise his hand above his head, and gave him an IV. Baby rattlers do not know how to strike and release. Rather, they bite and hold, releasing more venom into their victims than adult rattlesnakes, which is what happened to my son. He was lucky. It had only been about 30 minutes after he was bitten that they gave him the anti-venom. When the swelling finally subsided, just above his elbow, his hand had doubled in size. We both spent 2 nights in the hospital because I didn't leave him. He could have had some necrosis where the tissue dies and falls off the hand, black like leprosy, but we got him to the hospital so quickly that there weren't any problems. He came home without any complications, just some bruising. But the doctor told us if he gets bit again by a rattlesnake, the anti-venom won't work a second time. Good thing to know. Remembering this experience with my son reminds me how I continued to hold on to what I thought couldn't hurt me, like a rattlesnake. It seemed safe enough, and I thought I could handle it. After all, I didn't know exactly what a TBI was, but my soul told me I'm not safe, and my mind was unsettled. The consequences wouldn't affect me that much, I thought, but my body reacted otherwise. I had heard of the consequences. After all, rattlesnakes are poisonous, just like abuse. But I shrugged it off by thinking, I'm doing this for my children, to keep them safe. The abuse was like a rattlesnake bite. I didn't go to the hospital and get the anti-venom, so it was slowly killing me. At this time, I received a wonderful blessing when I met a lady whose kids went to school with mine at their small charter school. Her husband had been crushed by a forklift, and against all odds, he survived. He also sustained a traumatic brain injury. She understood my unique situation, and during one of our conversations, she felt inspired to tell me to be aware of my health. It felt like my mom was really close to me whenever we would talk. It helped me to see how God was aware of me. So often, I felt like I lived in La La Land, just going throughout my days, surviving each day, living vicariously through my kids, and literally living off the love they so freely gave me. Ever since my husband's accident, I kept busy. It was my go-to mantra. Just stay busy and you'll be okay. Just stay busy and you won't think too much. Just stay busy one step ahead of the feelings that you can't allow yourself to feel, and they won't catch you or reach you or affect you. So I ran and ran and ran, never stopping for fear that some imaginary, overwhelming emotional wave would overtake me if I did. I didn't really want to see my situation for what it was. I wanted to see it for what it could be, what it would be someday if I just kept going. I've shared these feelings before in my vlogs, but they are so important. Because I was so numb and just kept going instead of taking time for myself and knowing what my physical body needed and what my spiritual self needed, I began to feel those consequences more and more. In reading the book, The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk, it has really helped me understand trauma. Certain quotes from this book feel like puzzle pieces in the mosaic of my soul. Here are a few of these special pieces. You cannot select pain over pleasure. When you turn one of them off, you will not feel either. And another one says, erasing awareness and cultivating denial are often essential to survival. But the price is you lose track of who you are, of what you are feeling, and of whom you can trust. In August of 2006, I kneeled down to say my nightly prayer, and almost immediately I felt a wave of nausea and sickness come over me unlike anything I had ever felt before. I was lightheaded and I felt like I would pass out, be sick, and die. Then about 5 minutes later, it was all gone. I felt weak, but I was fine. I was worried for sure because I thought, what in the world could it have been? In another quote by Bessel van der Kolk, it reads, trauma is not just an event that took place sometime in the past. It is also the imprint left by that experience of mind, brain, and body. This imprint has ongoing consequences for how one manages to survive in the present. Trauma results in a fundamental reorganization of the way the mind and brain manage perceptions. It changes not only how we think and what we think about, but also our very capacity to think. Looking back, I can see from the way I described this event that I had actually experienced a heart attack. At that time, I wasn't thinking clear enough to recognize this. When we have the opportunity to feel emotions, but don't feel them, they do eventually come out in dis-ease or disease. If you're in a situation that feels like this somehow, and you're unable to really process what I'm telling you, perhaps it's because you're in a current constant state of shock like I was all those years ago. Please remember this. Don't be afraid to feel. You're not too much. Talk to God. Take the time to find out what you desire, what you need. Take time to care for yourself. Write this down. Read it every day. Pay attention. Ask someone to talk to you about it. Have them remind you again and again to feel, to think about what you want. Put these ideas on the wall or a mirror, because if you don't, it will impact every aspect of your life, mentally and physically, eventually. I pray you comprehend what I'm saying. Think about it. Don't ignore it, because ignoring it is like having your head on fire, believing you can't feel it, but eventually you do. Don't go back to holding that rattlesnake and expect it not to bite you. Through looking back, I have gained a testimony that God is always with us. Our trials are our building blocks of eternity. They never seem to look like what we imagine our trials might be. They are almost always unfair and unexpected, yet given enough time to see them through wiser eyes of discernment through the Spirit, we can know they were the very things that strengthen us in ways we never could have imagined and made us who we are. Elder Neil A. Maxwell said, life is a school, a testing ground. It is true, even though it is trite. What we don't accept are the implications of that true teaching, at least as fully as we should. One of the implications is the tests we face are real. They are not going to be things we can do with one hand tied behind our backs. They are real enough that if we meet them, we shall know that we have felt them, because we feel them deeply and keenly and pervasively. It is my prayer we will keep an eternal perspective about our struggles, even seemingly unfair situations that go on and on. I pray we will see God's love when He allows us to fail or fall, like a parent who allows their child to fall while learning to walk or run and watches as they get back up and do it all over time and time again, knowing they will eventually succeed and grow stronger with each step, each fall. So our Father in heaven allows us to fall. He sees the consequences of our actions of attempting to walk or run in new situations. Our hands and knees can even become raw or even bleeding from falling. Sometimes we even hit our head pretty hard. But each time we get up, we grow. We heal and get stronger with each step because of each fall. The process can feel unending, and I know I've found myself on more than one occasion wondering, when will I be strong enough and things will get easier? In the book by Rebecca Simon called Let Go, Trust God, she says, Sometimes the delay is the very thing that develops you. The waiting sharpens your discernment. The wandering teaches you endurance. The unanswered prayers deepen your faith. In his heart, God does not rush what he loves. He isn't interested in simply getting you to a destination. He's preparing you to sustain it once you arrive. Because the truth is, answered prayers can feel like nightmares if you're not ready for them. Doors can open before you have the emotional or spiritual maturity to walk through them wisely. God sees the whole story, and he will not let you arrive unprepared. So if it feels like God is holding you back, maybe he's actually holding you together. If it feels like you're being overlooked, maybe you're being safeguarded. His delay is not his absence. His silence is not his neglect. He is not punishing you. He is preserving you. Until next time, keep on keeping on with God.